Today I'm going to show you three lovely melodies on the guitar, and I'm going to explain the importance of being able to isolate the melody, and throughout the video I'm going to share some tips and tricks to make your melodies shine like beautiful baby robins just hatched from their eggs. Hi, I'm Josh Rogers and I'm the note by note guitar guy. Let's get our fingers flying. The piece I just played is Lagrima, and if you're a classical guitar lover you'll definitely know what it was. If we have a look at the melody, it's just a very simple melody like this. And then it's repeated. I like to have my students play me just the melody alone. As you probably know, it's got other notes going on as well. Being able to isolate the melody and just play the melody alone means we know who the main actor in the movie is, and we know what they're doing. Sometimes if we don't know where the melody is, we can't give it the importance or the sound or the attention that it deserves, and other notes may creep in and take the limelight. For example, a lot of students that I have play the B too loud. Why do they do that? Because they don't know that this is the melody. They view the score or the song as just a whole bunch of notes that they've got to learn and they've got to get them out, and yay. Thankfully with Lagrima, because the note is the highest note, and usually melodies are the highest note, but not always, it works. You can just sort of get away with it. So you could do this. A lot of them play this B too loud and it ends up like this. I'm kind of exaggerating it a little bit, but you get the idea. If you give that B too much, it starts to undermine this melody, this beautiful melody. So the importance of knowing the melody, you won't give notes that don't deserve that attention too much attention. So let's pull back that B. It's still there, but it's just soft. You'll be amazed at how much just doing that can change how your piece is perceived or how your playing is perceived. You don't even have to be any better at the guitar. You just have to know where those melodies are. Let's move on to the next piece, which is La Paloma. I'll just have to retune my guitar. Now this piece, I just released a blog on it. Be sure if you've got time, just head over to the NBN Guitar website and you can check my blogs. So I didn't even know this until a couple of weeks ago, that La Paloma was the world's first global hit. Apparently it went around the world, taken by sailors all over the place in the 1850s. Somewhere around there is when this happened. But anyway, it's a beautiful melody. I'll just play it for you. Just the melody. I'm not going to play the accompanying notes. It carries on, it just repeats itself an octave higher. If we look at it from just how it was composed, it's actually just a scale. This is another reason why it can be important to know the melody and just be able to isolate it away from the rest. The reason why I want to do La Paloma, it's very easy for people to give the bass notes too much. So we've got this, for example, something like this. Now, the habanera, which La Paloma is based on, is a confluence of some African rhythms, some European rhythms, and they came together in Cuba, I think, and that's how the habanera rhythm was born, the da, 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 da. Now, it's really important, yes, of course it is, but on the guitar, the melody still rules supreme. So what we want to do, we don't want to give the bass notes too much. Like, we wouldn't want to really do this. The idea is to have the melody singing up the top. We've still got that bass, it's still very clear. It's not coming in and like powering over the top. We just want to keep it there, but don't give it too much. If I came in after this note, say for example, it's too much. This part is another place where I hear these notes here from the A7 chord too much, like. You don't need that. This is the melody. So we don't want these other notes to come in and ruin that melodic flow. So just something to bear in mind when you're playing La Paloma. Keep that habanera rhythm pumping along, but don't give the bass any more than it needs. And so another little tip is you can do this with your thumb. I used to play it like this. With my fingers, it's nice, but the thumb just gives it a sort of a smoother. It's just softer, and I mean, it's not a right or wrong, it's just another way to make your melody stand out. Which brings me to another tip of melodies. You don't always have to play them louder or with a rest stroke. That's a really common suggestion, is to play any melody with a rest stroke. That's not strictly true. Also, sometimes you just can't. It's just not practical to play rest strokes because you might have a note on the adjacent string that needs to keep ringing. And if you play a rest stroke, it's going to stop that note. We need to take those sort of suggestions with a grain of salt. It's not always ideal to use a rest stroke to make a melody sing. We also don't need to make the melody notes louder all the time. We can bring other notes back. And quite often that's the better option, especially if you have a piece that requires a lot of dynamics. If you just make the melody louder, you may not have any volume left at your disposal. You might already be almost maximizing the volume you can play. So it's quite often easier to just pull those other notes back, even pull the melody back a little bit and just make it sound a little different. The last piece in this video is Recuerdos de la Alhambra, which is a classic tremolo piece by Francisco Tárrega. Before I play it, I just want to say that if you need help with motivation, overcoming obstacles, learning how to isolate melodies, or just add to your repertoire, I would like to be the guy that can help you. Here's the QR code that'll take you to a treasure trove of classical guitar resources. If we take a look at the melody, it's here. Lovely melody and some interesting things happening there. So at the beginning it's pretty simple, it's just kind of going down the scale and then back from E, D to C, then back to D and E. And then it's the same kind of idea. And then we've got here, he upsets the balance with this B flat. So that would probably be like an A7 flat 9 chord. The melody is going through what's known as a sequence. So we have this idea. So it's important to know that that's a phrase. And then he does it again, but just a little bit lower. And then again, lower. Why is that important? It's important because that's how we can phrase those lines. We can phrase them around those sequences. That's one phrase, and then he's going to sequence it again. So we might want to change the sound of this phrase. Last sequence, change something there. Let's have a look at the major section. So he just makes it a major. Amazingly enough, all he's done is do a raised third instead of the minor third. So we've got E, D, C sharp. And then we have, when you hear this part, that's just a little flashy note, not really considered part of the melody, so it's just really this. We can see that this is the biggest leap in the song. So melodies, we have stepwise melodies, like La Paloma, which is just basically going up in a scale. Kind of like that, and then sometimes we have these big leaps. That's why when you hear it, some of the best guitarists play this, they make that the loudest part, and they kind of hang around there a little bit longer. The reason they do that is because not only is it the biggest intervallic leap in the melody, it's also the highest point in the song. That D, we don't really get any higher until the penultimate chord. So up until that point, it is the highest note. And so we usually build in volume, and this is about the loudest we might get in the piece too. Slow down. That's why it's a good idea to understand where the melodies are, because then we know how to shape it. And if there's a big leap like that that hasn't really occurred before, we kind of know what we can do with it. Maybe we can, and then drop off again. If you want to see my instructional videos for all the pieces that I've demonstrated here, please click the playlist below. And if you need any help with anything else, head to my website and take a look around. Otherwise, I'll see you in the comments.